Seriously, folks, I know you are the Nintendo generation. I know you're used to watching your programs interrupted by ad breaks every 10 minutes. But surely you need to realize that there is something in life that requires more than your 10-minute attention span. If you're going to ask 5 questions, 5 pretty deep philosophical and scientific questions, you cannot seriously expect to get an answer to those 5 questions in 10 minutes. If you do, you really show that you haven't got a clue what you're talking about. But let's listen to the questions anyway, because you know what? I now have a partner account, and you know what that means? I am no longer limited by 10 minutes. So this video is going to be as long as it's going to take. You asked for it. Here we go. The first question, which in fact is 2 questions. Listen to this.
You here. Where did life and humanity begin? Or where did it originate?
Did you hear that? Where did life and humanity begin? She makes it sound like that's one question. She is talking about epochs in the history of our planet that are separated by something in the order of 4.5 billion years. And she wants that answered as one question in 10 minutes. And that's only question number 1. That's only question number 1. And to show us how open-minded she's going to be about this, she proceeds by saying this.
Where did we all come from? Probably the response I'm going to get is either through evolution or the Big Bang.
Well, you know what? If you're going to expect to get an answer within 10 minutes, I can't stop saying that, because it is like something, you know, that needs pointing out here. If you think you're going to get an answer to that question in 10 minutes, you're going to get the severely condensed version of events. And then, yeah, it's pretty much going to be something along the lines of, well, the Big Bang happened, and then, you know, stars formed, and galaxies, and, you know, then planetary systems, the Earth formed, and then eventually life originated, and then that evolved, and eventually then evolved into primates, and out of that, in the long run, we got human beings. You know, we're sort of severely limited in time here. Do you understand? Now, about cosmology, where it all came from, right? Because that you need to understand where it all came from. With life, this has absolutely nothing to do whatsoever. But if you don't know where it all came from, you certainly are not going to understand where life came from. So you will need to brush up on cosmology. Now, I'm not going to bore you with this, because I'm going to bore you enough already with what's going to follow. But once we get to the point where we have the solar system and the Earth is in place, and we're kind of coming out of the Hadean era, then we start talking about the time when life first started appearing on this planet, about 4.5 billion years ago. And here is a couple of things that I would recommend you do. Now, this requires something called reading. Do you know what that is? It's letters strung together in words, and then they are put together in things called sentences. Sentences are put together to make paragraphs, and paragraphs make chapters, and chapters make books. And that's only one book, and then you have to read several books of it. I'm just going to show you a few. Watch. First of all, you'd need to understand how out of chemical feedback processes and the first replicators, the first inkling of life could have come about on this planet. For that, I have to recommend this book. Werner Loewenstein, The Touchstone of Life. This is an excellent book if you want to come to grips to any extent with abiogenesis, where life came from. But it has real science in it, I'm afraid. It's tough going. This is tough going. Another book, this one is easy. This is easy to read, this book. Supercontinent. This tells you about Pangea and continental drift and how continents have been moving back and forth and so on and so forth, and how, over time, the conditions for life have come into place. How life might have made it out of its niche area in sub-oceanic vents into the rest of the ocean and onto land, thanks to subduction of oceanic plates. Read this. At least that's going to be an easy read. But do you think it's going to stop there? Not on your Nelly. Because at the moment we're only even talking about where the foundations for life came from. Once that is in place, then evolution takes over. And you really, really need to start at the basics. There, Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species. That is a book that you should read. It might have been written in 1859 or before 1859. But you know what? This reads as contemporary English. Even you should be able to get your head around what's being said in this book. Stop slagging it off. Read the fucking thing. And then you might start reading some other works, like Richard Dawkins, Climbing Mount Improbable. Richard Fortey, Life, an unauthorized biography. Richard Dawkins again, The Blind Watchmaker. This one is very interesting. You wanted to know where human beings came from? Out of Eden. How we migrated out of Africa into the rest of the world. This about the Y chromosome and what has been happening to it during human evolution. Endless forms most beautiful. Yes, that's been taken out of Charles Darwin's original book, but this is it. Updated to 2009. This is contemporary, updated, evolutionary biology. Read it. The Making of the Fittest. Here's another one. If you want to understand how evolution works, read this. Interested in extinctions? Permian extinction? Whatever? Read this. You want to understand the philosophy behind Darwin and evolution and how it all hangs together? Maybe you should start reading this Daniel Dennett. Or Stephen Jay Gould for a bit of light entertainment. And what have we got here? Steve Jones again, The Language of the Genes. And of course the old classic Richard Dawkins, The Selfish Gene. This is by no means everything I've read about the subject. You expect this to be explained to you in 10 minutes? Get real. And then our stupid little friend has the affront to continue her tiny little diatribe like this.
But how did the Big Bang come about?
How did the Big Bang come about? Cabal. Read science books.
How did evolution come about?
How did evolution come about? Read science books. But I'm going to tell you something for nothing, just so you've got a little bit of grounding here. Just look at what life is, because evolution is about what happens when life is already in place. If you want to hear how life got there, read those first two books that I showed you earlier, the ones about abiogenesis and continental drift and so on. But you want to know how evolution came about, it doesn't come about. Considering what life is and how it works, it is inevitable. If you know the properties of life and how it works, you can deduce with a tiny little bit of this.
Did that all just come into existence through nothing? That's not logical.
Logic, yes. With a little bit of logic and a tiny little bit of understanding of how life actually works, you will be able to deduce with mathematical certainty that once life is in place with the properties that we have observed it to have, that are undeniable properties of life, that evolution follows with mathematical certainty, whether you and your tiny little pea-sized brain like it or not.
What do you think? Do you agree with...
I think you don't. But listen to this, it gets really funny now.
with Richard Dawkins that there were intelligent life forms on other planets that created us and went away?
This is Richard Dawkins you're talking about, you blithering idiot. It's not Erich von Däniken, it's Richard Dawkins. He wrote books like The Blind Watchmaker, The Selfish Gene, Climbing Mount Improbable. He did not write books about aliens landing on Earth and seeding the planet with life. Where do you get those idiotic ideas, you fucking moron?
He said that in the movie Expelled. Just if you're wondering where I got that information.
You are insane.
My second question is, are humans of more intrinsic value than animals? Why or why not?
You can't ask a question like that and not explain what you're talking about. What do you mean by intrinsic value? What does that mean? What does that phrase intrinsic value mean? As chemicals, we are worth about $1 or so. A bit of potassium, some calcium, a lot of water, which is pretty much free, worth jack shit. What are you talking about when you're talking about intrinsic value? There is no such thing as intrinsic value. We humans derive value from the fact that we are in relationships with other human beings. Other human beings that mean something to us. Family, friends, people we love. From that we derive value, and that is incalculable. Now, other animals are, of course, outside that circle. Even though our pets have sort of wormed their way in a little bit. But there's no comparison to what they mean to us and what other human beings mean to us. So from our own personal perspective, yes, humans are of higher value than other animals. From any other perspective, from any outside perspective, we are just wobbling blobs of fat and water and a bit of bone and some hair, a lot of hair in your case.
Humans are capable of speech and are able to make intelligent decisions, but since you base your belief off of whatever you want, why would humans have any more worth than animals? And if humans and animals are the same, should you be put in jail for killing an elk or eating meat? How about plants? Plants are living organisms too. They can't move or communicate, but they're certainly alive, so if you step on a plant by accident, should you be punished?
Don't worry. I'm not going to step on you.
The next question is...
The next question. I can't wait.
How do you determine what is moral or immoral, right or wrong? Is there any objective standard or principle? Instinctively, we know not to be cruel. We strive to be friendly to others. How do we have a conscience? Do you believe that whatever a person feels is morally right to that person? Why do we want to do the right thing? My fourth question.
Wait. Morality is determined by our ability to empathize with other people. It is not that hard. We can imagine what it is like for somebody else to be at the receiving end of us. And from that we derive a notion that maybe it isn't so great to be behaving in some way or another, or to be displaying a certain attitude to another person, like you are doing towards, say, homosexuals. Remember that?
Since, in your opinion, nothing happens to you after you die, why do you feel the need to care about what others believe?
Because what others believe reflects back on me. If you believe that I deserve to suffer eternally after I die, that makes you a rather nasty little bitch. And if you are a nasty little bitch when you think about me, that affects your attitude toward me. Even right now, when both you and I are still alive. It affects how you relate to me right now. The fact that your afterlife is just a sad little figment of your imagination does not change the fact that you think it's real informs how you relate to the people that you so gleefully condemn to eternal torture after they die. That's why we care.
Why are you so concerned with debating deistic people?
I'm not concerned with debating theistic people, to be perfectly honest with you. I am quite happy to accept that you believe whatever you believe in. But the moment you start condemning me for not believing in the same bullshit that you believe in, then you have a problem. Because I am not going to sit here and let you talk shite about my life. Because my life is none of your business. Okay? But theists of many different bents do not seem to understand that simple, basic fact that it is not your business to stick your big gob into my life or that of other people. When you start realizing that you need to lead your life, and that anybody else's life is none of your fucking business, then I am happy to stop debating brain-dead idiots like you.
What good will come of it? If you manage...
It'll make me feel better to slap you around, metaphorically speaking.
Bring another to believing as you do.
No, you don't need to believe in what I do. Just leave me the fuck alone.
So what? You'll all just cease to exist if you die anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Alright, so my last question is an atheist's lack of experience more compelling than a believer's claim of experience?
What?
Now, I'm pretty sure that Venom Fan X asked a question similar to this, but I want to...
You are using Venom Fang X as a reference? You are referring to the great wisdom of Sean? Let's see what else follows.
know what you think about it. Because an atheist is usually an atheist because of their lack of belief in anything they cannot see in the natural world.
No. It's lack of belief in anything for which no supporting evidence is ever put forward. If you can give me reasonable cause to believe in something, then I will quite happily, at the very least, adopt it as a working hypothesis for the time being.
Are your beliefs more valid because you claim you have never seen proof of God?
What beliefs? What beliefs are you talking about here, Missy? You just said it yourself. It's a lack of belief that you're talking about. We do not believe in your God. So what belief are you asking us about here? I'm serious. You're making it sound like we believe something that we want you to accept as a fact, which is bullshit. You are the one who sits there telling us that there is some magic sky fairy who cares one iota about what I do in my private life, and you should be trying to convince me. Until you are able to present me with a valid line of reasoning leading to anything like, a notion that what you are blabbering on about could possibly be real, until then, I'm not going to take it seriously. And that's all there is to it. There is no belief involved here. Now don't get me wrong. I am quite willing here to nail my colours to the mast. But then I'm not talking for any other atheist anymore. When I'm talking about myself, I will tell you up front, your God is a figment of the imagination. It cannot possibly exist. But that is my opinion, and it's just up to me. I do not want to convince you of that. Believe in whatever tribe you like to believe in. See if I care. But do not tell me about my beliefs, because you haven't got a fucking clue.
There are billions of people in the world who believe in God and have seen...
No, there are not billions of people in the world that believe in God. There are billions of people in the world that believe in almost billions of different gods. Each one in their own tiny little fantasy creature that they've molded and twisted and changed to fit exactly their own tiny little wants and needs. That is what is the case. There are not billions of people who all believe in the exact same thing. Because that might be some indication that they might be onto something. But ask a billion different Christians even about the Christian God, and you'll get a billion different answers. And if there's anything I need to know, if there's anything that is a clear red flag to something being a load of steaming horse manure, it's the fact that 1 billion people who claim to believe in the same thing cannot agree on a single attribute of that thing. That is why I am certain, beyond any reasonable doubt, that your God and the God of any other muppet who calls himself a Christian doesn't possibly exist. There's one difference though between you and many other Christians, and that is that most other Christians are decent people. You are an idiot, and a bigot to boot.
Him work in their lives and testify to a life-changing experience with Jesus Christ. Are all these people lying, deceitful, or insane?
No, not lying. I'm sure they were perfectly certain that their hallucinations were real. They are not deceitful. unless you call lying to yourself deceitful. They're not even insane, because something, a mass delusion, to that level becomes the norm, and therefore in a clinical sense it cannot even be called insane anymore. But is it crazy in the colloquial sense of the word? It's fucking batshit crazy, that's what it is.
Do you just disregard people's belief in God because it's easier to live a life by your rules instead of
I do not live a life by my rules. I live a life in constant awareness that everything I do, every single action I take, every decision I make is my sole responsibility, and I have to stand over it. Sometimes my actions have consequences that I need to live with for the rest of my life, and there's nothing I can hide behind. I cannot say, oh, God told me to do this, or the devil made me do this, or but I thought this was the right thing to do because I am a Christian. If I fuck up, I have nobody to blame but myself.
having to repent to a divine entity?
Fuck your divine entity.
Thinking through all this, I kind of came across another question. Are you happy?
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Whoa, what's this? You said you were going to ask us 5 questions. This is question number 7, because you started with 2 questions, remember?
Since you don't think there's a reason why you're here,
I don't need a reason to be anywhere to be happy. Why should a reason to be here make you happy? There is a reason why there's a rat currently in a cage ready for vivisection. There's a very good reason for that rat to be there. Do you think that makes that rat happy? No? Well, maybe you might want to think about why your God supposedly put you on this earth in order to run a gauntlet of stupid rules and regulations and, demands to believe and love him without any evidence. For what? So that you could satisfy his deep emotional need to be loved? What a fucking selfish prick. Is that the reason why you are here? Does that make you happy? Does that genuinely make you happy? To think that that might be the reason why you're here? Even knowing that, thanks be to the flying spaghetti monster, that cannot be the reason why I'm here. It is actually something that makes me genuinely happy.
it happened through chance, and when you perish, you cease to exist.
The fact that I cease to exist is one of the best things about my life. That, I've talked about this in many videos before, which you've obviously never seen in your life. That is what frames my life. That is what makes my life meaningful to me. Because everything will always be immediate to me. There will never be something that recedes so far into the past that it becomes insignificant.
Does that bother you at all?
No, but it seems to bother you an awful lot, doesn't it? It seems to bother you and an awful lot of other twits like you, who keep on harping on about how my life has to be meaningless because you cannot get your head around it. Sorry, it is not my responsibility to give a meaning to my life that is satisfactory to you.
Are you scared of the unknown?
The unknown is a challenge. The unknown is what makes life exciting. The unknown is what makes life worth living. The idea that I could be stuck in a life where I knew everything that I needed to know, as so many of you little idiots keep on doing. Venom Fang X, with a sad little certainty that he knows everything that is of any importance to him. What a dreary, sad, ridiculous life that is.
What do you think? Okay, so please let me know what you think.
I'll let you know what I think. That's 5 minutes of my life that I'm never going to get back again. But hopefully this is half an hour of your life that caused you to stop and think for a minute.